Okay, welcome back everyone to another quick lesson on Google Sheets. So in the last lesson we learned about referencing, how to use formulas, relative referencing and absolute referencing. So this lesson is a quick one on the if statement, the if condition, as well as on conditional formatting. Right? So if statement and conditional formatting. So this lesson is on the if statement or if condition and on conditional formatting. So let's quickly start. So this lesson's on these two things. I'm just going to quickly start off with saying what the if condition is. The if conditional statement is the ability is a command to change the value of something that you put into a cell depending upon a condition or a criteria. So this is the same as you would use in Microsoft Excel. As I mentioned in the previous lesson, we're going to use Google Sheets rather than Microsoft Excel because not everyone has Excel, and Google Sheets is available freely anywhere. You don't need to install any software. It's just available online. Okay, so I'm going to go and put in an example. Let's say the name of some students, their mark, and their grade. So name would be, let's say, James, Jenny, Jack, and Jill, or Jays. Now, I'm going to do some formatting here, some basic formatting, so I can highlight this. Remember, I showed you how to do this previously. When you want to select more than one cell, you can click on the cell and then press Shift and click on the last one. I'm going to format this by pouring a background color and say this to highlight it. It looks a bit too dark. Let's change it to this one, a bit lighter. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to change the names to bold, right? The headings, so it's a bit bold, so it's a bit larger. This time I'm going to put in the marks. So let's say that James got 61, Jenny got 49, Jack got 50, and Jill got 51, let's say. So when we put in the grade, I can let the computer calculate the grade if I give it some rules. So let's say I want the grade to be a pass or a fail. So anything that is 50 or over, so 50 or more is a pass. Anything less than 50 is a fail. So I can use this in my if condition, right? So how to write the if condition? Well, as with all formula, it starts with the equal sign. Then it's if, and then you open the bracket, and now you got to write the condition. What is my condition? The mark is 50 or over. I'm going to write pass. Anything else, I'm going to write fail. Now notice that it says anything else I'm going to write fail. So even if it's a letter or a name or if it's 0 or if it's -5, it will still be a fail. Anything that is not 50, the number 50 or more, it's going to be a fail, right? Anything that's not number 50 or more is going to be a fail. So the if conditions only allows you two choices. You can make more choices within those two choices, but the two choices, it starts off with just two choices. So firstly, let's say if the mark, and which mark are we talking about? Are we talking about C4? Are we going to talk about C5, C6, C7? No, we're talking about C4 here. So click on the cell. If this cell's value is bigger than or equal to 50, right? So if this is the condition, if the cell's value is bigger than or equal to 50, then I'm going to type in the text pass. Now notice here that I put in a comma. The comma separates the condition from the value you want to put in if the condition is satisfied, if the condition is true. Then you put in a comma. So now you put in the value if the condition is not true. Right? So I'm going to put in fail. Notice how I don't specifically say here that C4 is less than 50. I've only said that if C4 is bigger than or equal to 50, then it's a pass. Anything else, it's a fail. So based upon that logic, right, if you have 49, 45, it will be a fail because it's not going to be less, it's not going to be 50 or more. So anything that's not 50 or more will be classified as a fail. So this is a logical understanding that you need to have, because when you do if statements that are a bit more complicated, you will nest, you'll put another if statement inside of one or the other of another, and then it can get more complicated. So for the moment, if it's bigger than 50, pass. If not, fail, right? So I press enter and you see that it's a pass. So let's go back again, explain the if statement. Starts with an equal sign, then it's if, and then it's open brackets, then it's the condition. The condition could be anything. It could be equal to, it could be less than, it could be not equal to, whatever. But if it's true, then we put in the first value. We separate the first the value that we put in by a comma. Now notice here that I put in C4 is greater than or equal to 50. There's no quotation marks here because it's not a text. If C4, I needed C4 to be like, say, C4 to be, let's say, the word good. If it's C4 has to be the word good, then I need to put in quotation marks, like I did with the value here. So that's a situation. Make sure you put quotation marks if you're putting in text. If it's a number, you don't need to put in quotation marks. If all of this is confusing you, you can just, for the moment, just understand this part. In an if statement, you start with equal sign, then if, then open your brackets, and then your first condition. If this condition is true, then you put in this value. This is the first value after the comma, right? So condition first, separated by a comma, and then the value if the condition is satisfied, if it's true. If the condition is not satisfied, then you put in the second value. Again, you separate the second value and the first value by a comma, and then you close the brackets. That is the entirety of the if condition. Now, let me copy this down through these other cells. Now, when I copy, I can use Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste it. That is the control button, hold down, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Or, as I mentioned in last lesson, a simpler way, particularly when you want to copy the same formula again and again, is to click on the bottom right hand corner and drag it. Click, hold the left mouse button and just drag it down, and you'll see that that's the case, that it'll copy it down the column. As I mentioned before in last lesson, basically when this happens, when we copy a formula this way, or even if we're doing control and paste, the reference will change. So as the cell moves down, the reference will move down as well. Okay, you can see the reference here is C5, not C4. And the formula had the reference C4, but when we copy it down to the next cell, the reference is C5. And this one, the reference is C6. And this one, the reference is C7. Okay. So that's the if condition. Right? So that's the if condition. It's also possible for you to do two conditions. You can do more than two conditions if you nest them. Okay. So what do I mean by nesting? Well, by nesting, that is, if I, for example, let's say I want not just have pass or fail. Let's say I want pass, fail. Let's say pass, fail, or credit. Right. So let's say credit is pass would be between, let's say, 50 to 60. Let's say 70. And anything over 70 would be a credit. And let's say that a fail would be anything less than 50. Now, if this is our grade system, then what I can do here is I can say that if it's bigger than equal to 50, I can't put a pass because it could be a credit. So I'm going to change this around. So I will start now at the fail section. I'll start at the fail section. So what this means is that I'm going to say if it's less than 50, it's going to be a fail. Now, why am I choosing less than 50? Because there is no option below 50. The grade for 50 is just a fail. So I'm going up here. I'm going up to a pass, and then I'm going to up to a credit. That's the logic of this system. So if C4 is less than 50, then it's fail. Otherwise, I'm going to put in a separate if condition. Otherwise, if, right? So this is a nested if. Nested means inside one another. So if C4 again is less than or equal to 70, right, then I'm going to write in the word pass. Otherwise, it's going to be a credit. Now, remember here I've got two brackets. The reason is this bracket here closes this one here, and this bracket here closes the beginning bracket, right? So let's think about the logic of this. If it's less than 50, it's a fail, right? If it's not less than 50, well, then we do this. So if it's not less than 50, it has to be 50 or more. Now this if condition here that I've highlighted will only run if it's 50 or more. So we don't have to worry about the fail anymore, because this is not going to this if will not run if it's a fail. If it's fail, this if will be ignored, because we will just, the first condition we satisfied, then we don't need to go to the second condition. So in the second condition, if it's not less than 50, so it's 50 or more, then if it's less than 70, it's a pass. That's because it's a pass is 50 to 70. So if it's less than 70, it's a pass. Now less than 70 could include less than 50, but we said that this condition will not run if it's less than 50. So that's why we don't have to worry about the fail grade. We only have to worry about the pass grade. So if it's less than 70, it's a pass. Now if it's not less than 70, that means it has to be bigger than 70. If it's bigger than 70, then of course it's going to be a credit. So we'll put in credit for that last part. Press enter, and you can see that this is a pass. Copy this down again, and nothing changes because we haven't got anything that's 70. But let's see, let me change Jill's mark to 71, and it should say a credit, right? So 71, and you can see that it says a credit here. So this is an if condition, and you can put another if condition inside an if condition. So you can nest them. You can put one if condition inside another. You can put another if condition if you want inside the second one as well, and you can keep on doing that. So by using this method of nesting the if conditions, you can choose a lot of different conditions, but it gets complicated. You're going to have lots of brackets, but you can do that. Okay, so it's not limited to just two options. By using nested if conditions, you can have more than two options. In this case, I've got three: pass, fail, and credit, right? So pass, fail, and credit. So that is the if condition.